Okay. So I know you mostly focused on domestic extremists, but from what you've read and studied, do you find that the same reasons why these domestic cells get started
Mm.
is very similar to how these cells start in, let's say, like Pakistan or Iraq or Syria?
I think so. The only thing I would throw in there as a possible difference is that, if you compare the average Pakistani, socioeconomic status, or the average, income for an Afghan family, for example,
Hmm.
there's nowhere near. They don't have nowhere near the GDP per person that you guys have in the United States or we have in Canada. So
Right.
there's a lot larger share of impoverished people, right?
Hmm.
Uneducated people who don't have good jobs. So in a sense, you probably have more people from that kind of background that would join. But I would argue that most of the country comes from that kind of background. So again, you're stuck with the same problem, right? If you say that poverty is a major driver for radicalization and terrorist group joining in Pakistan, well, 95% of Pakistan is in the same boat. And yet
Right.
95% of Pakistanis don't join Al Qaeda or MQM or the Kashmiri terrorist groups or whatever. So I think there still are some similarities, but again, you'd have to go country by country to figure this thing out. What I would say to you, though, if you went all across the Western countries, you'd see fairly similar experiences with an interesting maybe difference in places like France and Belgium, which have a long history of Muslim communities that are underdeveloped. There's been a lot of racism, anti-Muslim racism in those countries. And so
Hmm.
maybe they would be a little more of the underclass, let's say the United States and Canada. But again, I think it's fairly similar. But yeah, once you get to Afghanistan or Somalia or Nigeria, you're
Hmm.
talking a whole different kettle of fish there because they have different realities than we do in the West.